Hello, good evening, India, and welcome to the Emerging Opportunities in Financial Services Ecosystem panel. My name is Noam Oren, as said, and I'm the CTO of Payoneer. Payoneer is a global payment company that connects the worlds together to a single platform. So we are making it easy to do business globally as it is locally. In a way, we democratize access to financial services for businesses of all sizes, starting from SMBs in emerging as well as developed markets through the largest digital brands in developed markets. Payoneer has offices in like 23 locations worldwide, and I'm in person based in Tel Aviv, so it's a bit afternoon for me here. And here we have, here in Tel Aviv, our largest R&D center. We also have offices actually in India, in Delhi and Bangalore, where our local team serves freelancing and IT outsourcing companies getting paid by clients worldwide, as well as also local e-commerce merchants selling on international marketplaces. Personally, I started my way in technology as a hacker. Let's call it white hacker. I was at the age of 14 by that time. And since then, I took a long way into multiple technology initiations, multiple disciplines across products and everything, of course, involved the web and internet-based solutions. In the last 10 years, I'm with Payoneer and I'm focused on fintech. And last thing, if you want to know, at my spare time, I like to play and also watch soccer. And lately, I guess many of us followed Netflix Queen's Gambit, which reminded me the times I was playing chess, and now I'm trying to revive that skills. We will soon introduce the rest of the panel members, but may I remind you that towards the end of the session, we will probably have time for short Q&A. So you are invited to use the Q&A section of the system in order to send your questions. So let me introduce the rest of the panel members. So let's start with KRC. KRC, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Happy to be here on this panel. My name is KRC Murty. I work for Kotak Mahindra Bank, and I run the bank function. Been in this industry for 25 years. Thank you.
Sankarson.
Hi, Sankarson Banerjee. I'm the CIO for RBL Bank, and I've been here in RBL Bank not very long, 2.5 years. And before that, I've been in a variety of industries, including some e-commerce industries and with National Stock Exchange.
That's great. Thank you. And Nitin?
Hi, I'm Nitin Agarwal from Edelweiss. I led the technology, digital, and infrastructure functions in the group CIO at Edelweiss, which works across 6 business divisions. Happy to be here.
Okay, thank you very much. We have very experienced CIOs here, maybe even 100 years of experience altogether. So you may, as I said, use it later on in the Q&A section. But let's start to touch technologies and opportunities of SMEs. And let's start with you, KRC, talking about open banking. Open banking and APIs are here and are already widely adopted across the finance industry. In a sense, open banking brings the news of shifting the ownership of customer data and activity from us, the financial institute, to the customer. So according to you, to what you see, what are the opportunities you see for SMEs to use and innovate along with APIs in general, and maybe even with your own APIs specifically?
Thanks, Noam. I think it's a very interesting topic and question. I strongly believe that open banking is a significant step for the financial world, especially banks and financial institutions. The open banking platform enables the institutions to nurture strong relationships with fintechs and developers. I personally also believe that it provides an open access window to fintechs and app developers to design customized, offerings addressing specific customer needs and of the organization in consultation with the organization they work for. Banking platform a few years back, which was a significant step towards creating collaborative ecosystems for enterprises, fintechs, and app developers. I believe this collaboration will definitely help the financial institutions to accelerate the pace of innovation and develop improved customer-centric solutions and bring innovative solutions. It also provides an open access window to fintechs, as I've already mentioned, right? From Kotak Mahindra Bank perspective, we had already started this open banking platform a couple of years back, and we have a dedicated website also, dedicated for the partners to join in. This will actually accelerate the projects which we envisage to work with the respective fintechs. The initiative is part of our digital first organic growth strategy, which we call it as ABCD charter, which is AI enriched app, biometric enabled branch, context enhanced customer experience, and data empowered design. I think all in all, it's a great collaboration platform to be in for both the fintechs, SMEs, and the financial institutions.
So thank you very much, and I will take the close to last word, collaboration. It's collaboration through APIs, and maybe we will jump to you, Sankarson, and this time we're talking automation. And all of us are using AI and machine learning for automation, and we are looking into RPA solutions. And my question to you is, what would you expect coming from SMEs that will maybe address your needs of automation?
So, what happens is automation is a general principle, and in theory, an RPA can automate anything. But in practice, it requires specific automations to be enabled for specific banks. And therefore, we are hoping for SMEs and fintechs to come up with these particular automations. And I've met companies that focus on automating individual functions. Now, what banks do for each particular function differs in the details, but cannot differ in the core. I mean, all of us do roughly similar things, especially where it concerns external interfaces. And today also in India, a lot of these interfaces are file-centric. They are not straight through, they are drop on the floor. The steps are quite similar. Again, the details differ, but the basic constructs are quite similar from bank to bank. Many of these are easy to automate with specialized players, and that's what we're looking for. We are no longer looking for a generic automation platform. That platform, yes, is available now. There are a few mature platforms. Now we are looking for partners who build on either their own platform or some mature platform and solve specific use cases. And we've tied up with a few of those. We are also looking at more than just human process automation. We are also looking at things like infrastructure automation, monitoring automation, compliance automation is a big thing. We're looking quite closely at people who can automate many of these compliance requirements that the regulators have asked us for of late. Of late, compliance requirements have gone up quite a bit, like it has, everywhere in many industries. Banking in particular has been subject to a lot of fresh compliance. And it is very valuable to us to be able to automate some of that. Some in conjunction with an RBI, to do automated submission of data, and some in our own private capacities. And there again, a lot of that automation is to do with specialized structures that don't differ very much from bank to bank, because finally all banks report similar compliance requirements. So there we're looking again at SMEs to fintechs to come and tell us, give us your data, we'll massage it and put it in the right places. And we will get the right reports. And the compliance will be largely automatic, because today there is a lot of effort that comes in compiling the evidence, compiling the data, compiling the event, tracing it back over a period of time, and forensic. If somebody comes up with an event, I have to compile backwards to say what was the root cause. So there we are looking at a lot of automation being very useful to us.
That's great. Actually, please go on. Please continue.
No, these are the main areas. That's it.
Yeah. So that's great, because I will connect it to some of the automation challenges that we see. So for example, like a bit more than a year ago, we started to issue FIRC documents for our customers in India. And at the very beginning, we did that manually. We did it as a service. And we were happy to see that the value it brings to our customers. And that was one of our targets for automation. So now it's actually self-service automating service. On the other hand, you mentioned compliance, and compliance brings a lot of automation challenges. So just think about documents that we are collecting documents worldwide, globally. So ID documents as well as proof of your residence. So just starting from the question whether the document you uploaded is in a good enough quality, that's by itself an automation question. And of course, then read, scan, and authenticate that document. It's an area of interest for us. And last one, and that will connect to the next question to you, Nitin. You mentioned, Sankarson, cyber and opportunity around that. So one of the things that we are doing, we are sending data to a machine learning platform that is looking for anomalies. And anomalies can indicate maybe fraud, but maybe also cyber attack. And we get a very quick alert and a warning about that. And that calls to talk about cyber, because customers' fund security and customers' privacy are always top concern for all of us, I guess. And cyber continues to be big. Actually, it feels bigger every year. And as CIOs, we are looking always for further ideas and solutions. So can you, Nitin, suggest the fields of cyber that is of interest to you and you see coming stronger in the coming year and years?
Thank you, Noam. Now, as you rightly said, when you come to security or cyber security, I think that's the paramount concern for most of the CIOs. I think Sankarson, KRC would agree. I think security across our infrastructure, across our data layer, across our monitoring layer is very, very important. I think for the SME players, I think what we need to start looking at is how the ecosystem is changing today, especially when you look at a COVID scenario, when you're looking at remote monitoring, when you're looking at data being shared on the API layer with open API banking. I think the whole landscape in terms of cyber security is changing. We've all heard about, earlier we were all using a perimeter security. And now with the open API banking that KRC talked about, we are moving to a zero trust environment. And that's a natural progression. When we look at automation in terms of detection, we also need an automation in terms of remediation. Because no more, we can afford to say that I have detected and I will do something and then I will respond something. I think there are other remediation technologies which are required. And third of all is, I think on security itself, your platform needs to be much more AI enabled and scalable. With the amount of data and events that you're throwing up, the cost of security every year is going high, and it's no more feasible to maintain the security based on volume. Anybody would have talked to, I think Sankarson and KRC would agree that if I were to take all their firewall rules and to migrate to another firewall, we'll all create a 2-year project out of it. Even then, we'll not be sure about it. And that's not how security needs to function. I think it needs to move away from the rule, the perimeter. It needs to be more automated, not only in terms of alerting, but in terms of remediation. It needs to learn on its own and provide the best security. So I think all the SMEs and the new companies need to look at security from a slightly different perspective rather than more of what is existing. Or better what incrementally better what is existing. I think the perspective of security needs to change. It needs to be agile. It needs to be nimble. It has to move away from rule-based. It has to be available everywhere. From security in a perimeter to security traveling with data is a concept we've all talked about and implemented. So I think look at the security needs of the future, and it's not future, it's current. With all the ecosystem changing, and that's the kind of security solution we're looking at.
Okay, thank you for this holistic view. And actually, if we're talking holistic, we can connect all three of that, because you were talking about security and you mentioned that APIs became a challenge for security. And you were talking also about automation in relates to security. So all come together. But I think that in our audience, we have many startups and SMEs. and probably they wonder about their opportunity. So how they can develop something that you may consider to use. Maybe what are the areas that you are ready to experiment with? What are the better opportunities for SMEs in your eyes? What should they do? How should they pack their technology in order to win an opportunity, at least to do some kind of a POC with you? And I will be happy to hear the view of all three of you. So let's start with KRC, please.
Yeah, if you ask me, there are umpteen number of opportunities. I'll tell you, the way if you come with innovative products, I think everyone is ready to explore it. Especially the Indian financial industry is, taking it leaps and bounds ahead. It's a market which is far from being saturated. That's how I look at it. Some of the areas they can look at is personal finance and banking, mobile payments and transfers, P2P lending and microfinancing. Simplified investing using AI and advisory. There are better ways, you can suggest to put one's financial data to use. They don't know how, they have all the data, but they don't know how to use it. There are quite a few innovative products which you can, develop and partner with, and, the way I look at it is fintechs and SMEs, they have the best technology. They are the new kids on the block. Unlike legacy banks who have legacy applications, infrastructure, it is not easy for the banks to really quickly innovate and go ahead. So I see a partnership is the best way to go ahead. If you have the right product, you have the right security built into it. You have the right, business model, which can really give the right value add to the institution you are partnering with. I think it's a win-win situation for both of them. And this I've been saying since ages, and that's the way to go ahead. It's not easy for an SME to just go alone, instead of without having a large institution behind them and backing up with their trustworthiness.
So the key in your eyes is the right partnership.
Absolutely.
Right partnership.
Absolutely.
Excellent. And Sankarson, what would you say about that?
So I have a slightly perpendicular take on this. You see, I think fintechs and banks have learned to coexist quite successfully because they learn to operate where their strengths are. Where is the bank strong? It has licenses, it has regulatory oversight, it has the ability to run a very tightly managed risk business. That's fundamentally what a bank is. It manages channels of money and it manages risk around that money. And it is because it has a license, it can do things that are banned to most fintechs. Fintechs, on the other hand, often have a much better understanding of certain sources of data, how to use that data in unusual ways, and they often have a better understanding of certain narrow segments than any bank. And they often identify niches and can exploit niches better than a general purpose bank can. So the combination usually works very well, where the fintech concentrates on where it's strong, in the ability to analyze data in unusual ways, in the ability to target a niche that is very specific, requires very specific understanding, like education loans or peer-to-peer lending or consumer finance loans or various kinds, workplace loans. And it relies on a bank to provide the underlying financial stability, the capital, the risk management that goes along with these larger capital flows. So I think that combination always works very well. The reason a bank can't get into these niche fields is one, because usually it has a very hard time figuring out anything special about that niche. That is usually got from somewhere outside. And also, banks have a more general risk profile. So getting into a niche is often very hard for them. The other challenge that fintechs often bring to the table, or the other advantage, is that they use technology in new and unusual ways that banks cannot easily do. Not because the bank is unable to understand it, because banks have a certain legacy, they have a certain set of technology that they have invested in already, and their ability to take a complete 180-degree turn and invest in something that is totally brand new and not so well understood or straight out of a research paper is often quite limited, whereas a fintech can take that risk, and if it doesn't work out, they just go away. So that partnership works very well, where I provide the stable banking parts and they provide all the innovative front-end customer experience parts. So these are the two places I see that banks and fintechs work very well. Where banks and fintechs try to compete with each other, neither seems to come out very well ahead. If a bank tries to do what a fintech is better at, like many banks have tried wallets, for instance, and they've not really gone anywhere. The fintechs still dominate the wallet space to a large extent. Banks have also been unsuccessful in these unusual lending, let's say social lending or some of the other lending methodologies. Their fintechs have proved to be much better. In fact, Alibaba has proved to be the king of this kind of non-traditional lending. But on the other hand, fintechs have suffered at traditional lending, have had a hard time figuring out how to make money in the more general purpose businesses of banking. Many fintechs have tried to become full-fledged banks and not worked very well. So that's why I think the partnership really succeeds, because both sides need each other to use their strengths, and the combination works better than the competition.
That's great. So you add partnership and collaboration, and you specified several opportunities. I would say that it was very interesting to you, the way you are looking into fintech and banks, just because we in Payoneer, we are a fintech company, but we have banking licenses. So when we act cross-border, we actually compete banks. But when we come local, we actually partner with banks as from the fintech side. And so it was very interesting to hear your view about this partnership. What about you?
That's an ideal case, because, for instance, as a traditional Indian bank, I find it very hard to go cross-border.
Exactly, and this is why we cooperate with banks in several locales. That's indeed the use case. And Nitin, how you find that subject in your eyes?
I think Sankarson and KRC have covered it all. I think the strength of the emerging ecosystem is their agility, frugalness to try and put into a new technology framework and bring that quickly as a solution to the large banks or large financial institution, which would have some bit of a historical technology implementation, and the ability to experiment is not that high. And I think that partnership works wonderfully well. It has worked in the past, and I think that is how it will work in the future. A couple of things that I would like to attach to this is any fintech, or if you're looking at doing any partnerships with a regulatory entity, it's important for technology innovators to appreciate the regulatory aspect of that. I think that's where a lot of times the partnership can take longer, or people can understand different things. I think it is very, very important that that kind of regulatory compliance and security is built into the solution. They have to be able to play to their strength of agility. Any new age organization who comes with overheads of a large organization in terms of their ability to execute a solution, a POC, or anything will not work well. I think the strength of agility and nimbleness is very, very important. And third most important, all of us today in technology areas are very, very cognizant of specialized skills. And in fact, all of us are seeking very specialized skills. We are not going to large partners and large players for most of our needs. If you're looking at AI, we would want very, very specific, talented AI player who probably has worked with in my domain of whether it's insurance or wealth space, understands that in and out. And that vertical specialization is very, very important. For us, the specialization of partnership, whether it is on cloud infrastructure, whether it's on security, whether are use cases that Sankarson talked about in terms of automation, he talked about specialization. I think that's a great area. I think all SMEs I would encourage to focus on a specialization, because we are seeking more and more specialized players rather than generic players. And you can pick your areas of strength on specialization, and there will be vertical and deep enough market, and that will bring out our interest as a large organization, because a generic holistic thing we see it has limitations, and we look towards, in fact, very specialized niche, we call them boutique shops sometimes, and that is very, very important for adoption of technology and new technology.
That's excellent. Maybe I would share with you the way we address that, specifically in the field of cyber, because this is constantly changing and very demanding field, as we were talking earlier. So the way we are doing that in Payoneer is that, like, once or twice a month, we try to meet startups in the field of cyber, and we invite them to pitch and to tell us what they are doing, and we are looking, first of all, if it's interesting enough. But specifically, we are looking into the threat they are addressing, whether it's a real threat or not. And then we are looking into whether our existing set of cyber solutions already address that threat, because sometimes you hear a new threat, but actually your prior solutions already address that, already cover that. And then we are looking into the quality or the quality of the solution that this startup is offering. And if the answer for all three is yes, it's a real threat, we are not yet shielded for it, and the solution looks good, we actually invite this company for a POC, and sometimes we adapt it into our cyber suite. And actually, we become luck. We become lucky because we already have 7 cyber startups that we were one of their first customers to adopt their technology, and they were already acquired for 3-digit millions of dollars by bigger cyber companies. So now we have, for example, few startups that we met at early stages and then now working with us, for example, under Palo Alto, because they were acquired later by Palo Alto. So we claim to bring luck to startup companies by that habit to bring them in. That's excellent. So let's go for the summary question. And this question is actually this time for me. Because as you know, I'm coming from Tel Aviv, Israel, and we are proud to have startups and we are proud to export technology worldwide in general. But this time I would look with honor and I came to meet you in India. And I'm asking you guys, what is your recommendation for a gift from me to take home from India? Or namely, what are the ideas or technologies that you think that India should offer me and I should look at and maybe adapt and take home? So please suggest me a gift, KRC.
No, I think, India has got... it's a platter of opportunities, right? You have to pick and choose what you want. We have quite a few players around here, but however, having said that, we still have a lot of opportunity for niche SME players. Just like Nitin said, what is that value add which you're bringing into the table, right? And what kind of product and partnership you can get in. Based on that, I think it's an opportunity, unlimited. So you come test the waters. I think you will have umpteen opportunities out here. So definitely, we welcome you heartily to India. And of course, from a perspective of a lot of things to taste from India, from food perspective, you have a lot of things to take from India as well. So please don't forget to taste a lot of stuff from India.
Okay, good. And Sankarson.
So I also agree with Kiasi. India has a lot of SMEs, a lot of opportunity, lots of cross-border. It's a very large payments market. In fact, one of the largest parts of India, the banking space, is the payment space. We lag behind in investments, we lag behind in equity participation, but payments is one place where India is far ahead of most countries. And so I would think you would have a great welcome here, in particular because you offer much more than just a simple payment service. The other, and of course, food-wise, we even have our own versions of Israeli food. There's a lot of Israeli food in India. Lots of Israelis come to India and, we have a lot of that food. But we have built our own versions of it, which you might enjoy.
So don't get it wrong. Of course, I visited India several times, and I visited our team, and we visited several of our customers, and we have.
I've been to Israel, by the way.
Sorry?
I've been to Israel.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
I went to Tel Aviv and Jerusalem.
Not sure how that will go nowadays that we are flying less in general. But I've been seeing in India, I've been seeing some of our customers, I've been seeing IT outsources company, actually from both sides, being service provider of payments for that companies that are being paid cross-border, as well as considering to be a consumer of their services. So asking to see the capabilities. And I love India, and I guess I saw just a tiny piece of India. Your country is amazing and very diversified. And Nitin, what can you offer me as a gift to take on?
I think there are a few. Number one is India being a large population. I think the volume and amount of transaction that we handle and the way we handle, I think there is definitely a learning in there. The entire UPI infrastructure, I think, is now very famous. How that was put up and rolled out. If you look at how scalable in terms of GST framework that the country has been able to launch, and how it's going with automation with that entire framework and deploying that scale is a huge learning that you can carry in India. I think India has this great ability to deploy technology at scale at a very minute cost. And I think that's a big learning the world can do. And this comes with the vast resource pool that India brings to be able to implement and experiment with those technologies and deploy at scale. And it's literally becoming a R&D hub. You look at any of the large companies, they would have some sort of R&D hub. The percentage of products that are coming from India shops or even global organizations are well documented. So I would say our talent and ability to deploy technology at scale at a fraction of the cost, and the talent pool that comes to it, is a great resource for India has, and India has to offer. And apart from that, if you look at some of the frameworks, like I said, there's a UPI framework, which is world class. There's an Oren framework for a credit network, which has been developed. I think it's another world class initiative, and how credit can go to masses at a fraction of the cost. Today, India runs one of the most sophisticated even bureau infrastructure or a government information infrastructure. I think those are great learnings for the world. At least I'm not sure about Israel particularly, but large part of the world, including emerging markets, I think India stands very tall in their implementation of technology, their implementation of digitalization, even in government areas. I think it's massive, especially in financial services. I think it's truly massive. The kind of APIs that we have for everything now, and the pace at which is developing in all aspects of financial services is just simply amazing. So I think you have a bouquet to choose from there. No, I would say.
Yeah, I'm sure at least as of talent, I saw very talented people all across, not just IT and banking, and as well as freelancers and merchants. So a lot of super talented people when at the times I had visited India, and I hope the next time is very soon. We have some questions from the audience. So I think one of the subjects of interest is data privacy. And the question here is that data privacy is, of course, an important concept. And the question is, what are the steps that the Indian banking, financial, insurance companies, fields, our industry is taking to ensure data privacy? I would comment that for us, Payoneer, we are exposed to data privacy rules globally, worldwide. So GDPR in Europe is very dominant, and now the Californian Act is, of course, rising, as well as many local data privacy requirements per country. But I'm interested in your view, how that goes, and what is the plans of the industry in India?
I'll let Shanky take that probably.
So, data privacy is becoming a much bigger concern in India than it used to be. We still don't have a data privacy bill, And we do have, we don't really have the ownership of data required, the underlying theory that individuals own their own data. That theory is not actually as widespread in India yet. But India is following the GDPR laws quite closely. The recommendations they've given so far are largely in line with the GDPR laws. So we expect that the bill will be introduced shortly and it will be in line with GDPR. And we have started, therefore, to take into account those things. Even though the laws are not yet, in place, a lot of the compliance in the regulatory bodies are insisting on a certain amount of data privacy. For instance, we've been told, all banks are told to mask Aadhaar data. That's already done universally. We are in process of masking most credit card data so that call centers and all that no longer see the credit card number. Your statements don't have the credit card number. Those things are already well in progress in most banks, even though there is no law that mandates it. The COVID times actually gave a big boost to that, because if there is adequate data privacy, then it's much easier to do call centers than remote call centers, because there's no chance of data leakage if anyway the data is inherently private and segregated. So that has given a boost to our efforts at data privacy. We have to, of course, see what the final regulatory framework is, but we expect it to be roughly in line with GDPR.
Okay, that's great, and we are out of time and actually competing a minister in the other session, so we will honor the minister. Just maybe closing the circle of the stuff we're talking about. We started with open banking, and I was saying that open banking actually liberates the consumer and let the customer be the owner of the data and access the data. And we ended with certain questions about implications of that. So what does it do to data privacy? And again, it comes back to the right of our customer to own the data, the responsibility of us to protect the data via cyber toolsets, and also back to responsibility now to look into PII, to personal identifying information and data privacy in general, and make sure that we are doing the best to protect our customer against the bad guys that are out there. So thank you very much, friends, for being the good guys in this conversation. I enjoyed a lot, and I'm really looking to come back to India soon. The minute the pandemic is enough or close enough to be out there. Thanks a lot, friends.
Thank you, Noam. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Noam, for moderating this so well. Sankarson, KRC, Murty, and Nitin Agarwal, and indeed the CIO Club. Fantastic session. I think you brought in a lot of insights for young entrepreneurs, especially SMEs. So very, very useful. Thank you so much. And with that, we end the session on screen 2. Please move over to screen 1, where